Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great Thirsty Thursday. It's going to be a busy day for me, actually a big day. We've got a re-inspection on our plumbing and framing on the red brick house, and we're hoping that, please, Mr. Inspector, give us your blessing today so we can move on to the next thing there. And hopefully that'll go through. We've gotten everything on his punch list to do done, and we'll see what we see. And of course, this is now May, where we've got the team, of course, doing OTAs, or excuse me, voluntary workouts. We have mini camps that are on tap this month and things. And you start the process of melding the team together. You've got all the rookies and the new guys and stuff on there. And this, of course, is still speculation time. You're going to hear all kinds of theories and all kinds of things of, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. This morning I was reading reading about Zeke Elliott. Some people are believing that Zeke Elliott, now it's less likely Zeke Elliott will return. I don't know on that one. That's the thing about the Cowboys is the Dallas Cowboys have evolved their thinking, okay? And I think this is generally speaking where the NFL is a follow what's worked league, a copycat league, so to speak. And so, as you've seen, Philadelphia not have a bellwether back and not actually have high paid running backs, being running back by committee. Same thing with Kansas City. You're seeing more and more teams kind of say, we don't want to pay a lot for running backs. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately for Zeke, Zeke has made the second most amount of money of any running back in the history of football. And I tell you, I wouldn't want to be a running back, quite frankly. I was talking here with my wife this morning, and we were talking about nose tackles. And how, she's like, you talk about nose tackles a lot. I said, yeah, because I was a nose guard, which was originally what they used to call those. And I said, you have to understand that you get hit every single play from you don't know from where. And I said, you are the closest to any other player on the field. You are literally a football length of your helmet to the center. Every single play. There is no other player that is helmet to helmet that close. You get hit constantly. And she was like, yeah. She said, I bet there's a lot of CTE there. And I said, I don't know that I hear about as much CTE about the tackles. Now we know Mike Webster of the Pittsburgh Steelers from the 70s who had brain cancer. But it seems like we hear more about problems with the running backs. When you think about Tony Dorsett is kind of dealing with issues and things with it. You think about Marion Barber, who died last year. You think about Joseph Randall, the clone and underwear bandit and stuff, spending time in jail and stuff. You think about how much abuse the running backs take, because here it is, you are running right up the middle of the field, going against those guys that are 300 pounds plus, or those guys that can move like a freight train, and you're getting hit and bounced off the turf and stuff. So it is a brutal position. Thus, unfortunately, when you look at it, you say, you got about 4 good years. And so now the problem is, and when we went to pay Zeke, I pointed out there's always exceptions to every rules, but generally speaking, running backs, by the 4th year, that's about the pinnacle. And after that, they start going downhill. Now, the question is, between Ronald Jones, between Deuce Vaughn, between Tony Pollard, between, I'm having a brain fart. You now have running back by committee. You have multiple pieces that you can have. You have now more dynamic running backs. Deuce Vaughn is more of he's short, but he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can catch the ball in the backfield, which is what you want to have on this offense. And now you've drafted a fullback too, which is what you have on here. So I don't know that bruising back per se is a necessity for the Cowboys. Although, short yardage specialist, that's maybe not the worst idea. We do know that Zeke can move the pile. Zeke can pick up that half a yard on that fourth down. Zeke can get it into the end zone. So who knows? Who knows what the Cowboys are doing? The Cowboys have definitely left the door open, and thus far, Zeke Elliott does not have a job elsewhere. Would it surprise me if Zeke Elliott came back? No, it wouldn't. Not at all. Would it surprise me if he didn't come back? No, not at all. I think it could go either way, and I don't think it's a done deal in any stretch of the imagination. So now, here's the thing with this offseason. It's funny because now everybody's got their power rankings and stuff and trying to tell you, this team did so good, this team's going to be great, which is always funny because typically what happens is they go through. If the team did well last year, they automatically put them high in the power rankings. They figure that they're going to do good. The amazing thing is pretty much almost every year, half of the teams that make the playoffs don't the next year. It's crazy, but there's so much turnover. But they never bake that into the equation of looking at the rankings going into the next year. Now, here's what I will say about last year. Okay, so we've got the power rankings and everything else. Last year, after the draft, surprisingly, this is a Pro Football Focus power rankings. They had the Cowboys at 12th. Dallas had a curious offseason where every problem it faced seemingly caught the franchise by surprise. The team traded away Amari Cooper because it was upset that it wasn't providing the kind of value his contract suggested. Cedric Wilson also departed in free agency. They thought they re-signed Randy Gregory, but it became upset at some contract language, so he took the same offer from Denver, leaving Cowboys to scramble to replace him. Overall, this team likely spun its wheels in the mud this offseason while other teams improved, but they're still a good team overall. So they had us as eyeing the playoffs. So this is where I find it so comical that people will say Mike McCarthy is on the hot seat because they fell flat in the playoffs after they won a game. But what you said during the offseason was this is not a good team that didn't do anything to improve, that everybody else around them got better. Right? Okay. So enter Colin Cowherd today, or yesterday, his top 10 in the NFC. Top 10 in the NFC. Colin Cowherd typically throws a lot of shade at the Cowboys. It's just the way it is. I mean, he's forever probably still talking about Carson Wentz as a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. But the thing here, and I touched on this a little bit last night, is, people say, well, Dak threw a whole lot of interceptions. The thing is, situations dictate what happens. I'm not going to say that Dak Prescott is completely free of having interceptions. I don't think any quarterback is perfect. But talent matters. Because if talent doesn't matter, then the Jets made a terrible mistake. Because last year was a below average year for Aaron Rodgers. Seriously. Last year was awful. Last year was Aaron Rodgers not being able to elevate his team to beat the Lions to make the playoffs. The Lions had nothing to play for. They had everything to play for. So if you look at it and say it was because he was on a good team, then you are then making the point opposite of what you're saying. And having started the season with CeeDee Lamb as really your only viable receiver, and then your second best one coming in off of an ACL who clearly was not the same guy, and then having a number 5 receiver basically as your number 2, those things matter. Now there's revisionist history here where people now will look and say, Mike McCarthy calling plays. Oh my God, he should have Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore. So I'm sorry. Mike McCarthy's coached a team that actually won the Super Bowl, been in the playoffs quite a lot, won a lot of playoff games, has worked with great quarterbacks. All of a sudden now, Mike McCarthy calling plays. Oh, that's terrible. That Kellen Moore is the genius. I'm not quite there with you on that one. When Colin says this, I basically kind of say, yeah, this sounds a lot like what you used to say about Dak Prescott. You know, Dak Prescott is ass, basically. But let's listen in to his power rankings and see. All right, so there's Colin Cowherd's top 10. So I look at this offseason and I say, we are a better team than we were last year, without a doubt. We have probably had the best offseason that I can remember in forever. It's not the super sizzle, but it's been substance. We'll definitely have more on that later on today. All right, good people. Time for me to get over here to the Red Brick House to meet the inspector. Wish me luck. Hope you have a great day. Peace.